Hello, my name is Melania Vicario. I'm from www.justiceforobusedchildren.com. Earlier this year, on the 17th of July 2014, I wrote to our Prime Minister, David Cameron. It's been about 6 weeks now. I still haven't had a reply, and this is my letter to him. Dear Prime Minister, I would ask you to consider my plea for help. The present Home Secretary and previous Home Secretaries have simply ignored my reasonable request for justice. I have always assumed it was easy to ignore me because I am a lone voice. My siblings and I suffered years of mental, physical and sexual child abuse. The abuse destroyed our family and culminated in our brother committing suicide when he could no longer face our shame. The man who abused us never faced justice, and recent investigations suggest that the Metropolitan Police Service at best were inept, or at worst protected our abuser. In addition, it would appear that the same police officers destroyed evidence to avoid criminal prosecution. I have recently decided to tell my story online and aim to collect 100,000 signatures to seek a public inquiry in order to get to the truth and bring my abuser and the police officers who protected him to justice. Simply knowing the truth and seeing the corrupt public officials who failed to protect my family punished for their actions would be sufficient. I intend to publish the facts which surround my case at www.justiceforobusedchildren.com, where you will find a holding page and documents which evidence my 20-year-long battle for the truth. Nearly 1,000 documents substantiate my claims. Some of those documents will no doubt surprise our security and justice services and one of your own ministers. I will never stop my campaign until I see positive steps undertaken to bring those involved to justice, along with reforms which will ensure that cases like mine can never happen again. I am sure that you can appreciate why these matters are of such importance to me. I refer to one of your own ministers and wish to elaborate in order to elicit your office's opinion as to her fitness to hold public office. The police arrested Philip O'Neill, our abuser, and interviewed him on the 22nd of April 1993 in the presence of his solicitor Helen Grant. The claims of abuse came from 4 children who were supported and corroborated by my mother and 2 other adults. The Metropolitan Police Service advised my family that they would not charge Philip O'Neill on the basis that it was not in our interest on the 18th of May 1993. And my mother met with Philip O'Neill on the 25th of May 1993 and recorded his confessing to sexually abusing my sister Valentina. The recorded confessions of Philip O'Neill were provided to the Metropolitan Police Service on the 18th of August 1993 at a Harrow Social Services Child Protection Case Conference. My sisters, Valentina and Florencia, were both placed on the Harrow Child Protection Register on the 18th of August 1993. Helen Grant obtained all the social services paperwork relating to my family from my mother on the 3rd of September 1993. My mother had been suffering from a mental health disorder at the time. My sister Florencia had been sent to Portugal on the 29th of August 1993. Harrow Social Services made an application for an interim care order on the 31st of August 1993 in relation to my sister Florencia. Helen Grant attempted to take over representation of my mother on the 6th of September 1993 in relation to Florencia. My mother's lawyer wrote to Helen Grant on the 7th of September 1993 explaining that Miss Grant had a serious conflict of interest in representing a paedophile and the mother of the abused children. Helen Grant notified Harrow Social Services and Harrow Magistrates Court on the 2nd of November 1993 that she had taken over representation of my mother and my sister's interests. Harrow Social Services took my sister Valentina into care on the 19th of November 1993. The care proceedings initiated in relation to Florencia were abandoned by Harrow Social Services on the 20th of December 1993 due to jurisdictional limitations. Florencia returned to the UK on the 22nd of December 1993 to live with my mother and Philip O'Neill. Philip O'Neill stated in an interview on the 6th of January 1994 that he understood that the case had been put on hold only to be reopened if new evidence came to light. Florencia was eventually taken into foster care by Southwark Social Services on the 20th of December 1994. My brother committed suicide on the 28th of November 2001, and the Metropolitan Police Service reopened the investigation into the abuse we had suffered during our childhoods. Philip O'Neill was consequently charged with 13 counts of indecent assault and child cruelty. The case of Regina versus Philip O'Neill was stayed as an abuse process by His Honour Judge Pollock on the 3rd of September 2002 due to the evidence given by Philip O'Neill and Helen Grant. Helen Grant stated to His Honour Judge Pollock in 2002 that she had notified Philip O'Neill that the case was finished with, following advice from the Metropolitan Police Service in May 1993. Philip O'Neill stated in evidence to His Honour Judge Pollock in 2002 that Helen Grant had informed him in May 1993 that the case was finished with, despite his statement on the 6th of January 1994. His Honour Judge Pollock was unaware of Philip O'Neill's statement of the 6th of January 1994. Helen Grant and Philip O'Neill misled the court in 2002 as to their true knowledge of the events in 1993. Helen Grant used my mother's incapacity to take control of a child abuse case where she manipulated my mother so that she could represent both the abuser and the abused children. Helen Grant was aware of the conflict of interest, but proceeded in the full knowledge that our mother was sick and her children would have neither the foresight nor representation to raise professional standards complaint. Helen Grant stated in the foreword to the Ministry of Justice, improving the Code of Practice for Victims of Crime in March 2013. As Minister of Justice with responsibilities for victims, I am committed to improving services and support the victims in the criminal justice system. That is why I am particularly pleased to be able to launch this consultation on how to improve the existing Code of Practice for Victims of Crime, the Victims Code. Before becoming Victims Minister, I spent 23 years as a solicitor protecting survivors of violence in the home and victims of hate crime. This experience provided me with real insight into how people suffer not only the effects of the crimes against them, but also the ordeal of dealing with the criminal justice system in the aftermath. I would be interested to know your views as to Helen Grant's conduct in my case and whether you believe that she protected my family when we survived psychological, racial, physical and sexual abuse. I am appalled that a person with the attitudes of Helen Grant can be found on the front benches of the United Kingdom's government. My fight for justice has made my life a mystery since my teenage years. I can assure you that I will not rest until my request for a public inquiry receives the 100,000 signatures it requires. I would only add that I still believe that it would be both kinder and less humiliating for all concerned if this matter would be addressed properly and promptly. Yours sincerely, Melania Vicario. Thank you for your patience, and I hope that you have a look at our website and all the information that's there, and perhaps sign my petition. Thank you.